The Swiss Entrepreneurship Program supports and brings technical assistance to partner organizations like Emprende UP that help entrepreneurs start and accelerate their business. And these organizations that we're strengthening as a program will continue providing services to entrepreneurs beyond the duration of the program. Franco is one of the co-founders of Explore. It's one startup that is supported by Emprende UP. Emprende UP is an incubator that is supported by the Swiss Entrepreneurship Program. As a program, we support Emprende UP in angel investment, for example, and we also support them in mentoring. And Emprende UP supports with those services Franco and his startup, Explore.
When I met Oliver and Eric 2 years ago, we identified that there was a lack of knowledge in digital marketing and there was not good structured information in the web for tours and activities. So we decided that we could help these people to increase their sales and also giving them a channel, Explore.pe, to sell their tours and activities. What is unique about Explore is that we have 100% transparency in prices and information. This means that if a person goes directly to the provider, we'll find a price that is the same that is in our webpage. We faced several challenges. One of them was to find a coder. Here in Peru, the IT industry is not deeply developed. Also, another challenge was to raise capital.
The entrepreneurship ecosystem is very early stage in Peru. It's harder for Peruvian entrepreneurs to have access to angel investment, for example, or access to very good mentors with relevant experience.
In Peru exists a very interesting movement around the startups, about the entrepreneur ecosystems, and of course we are trying to create jobs, create a trust environmental. The startups and entrepreneurship is right now contribute in major social inclusion and financial inclusion. Swiss cooperation bring to Peru experts from the different parts of the world, European, Americans, and these people came to Peru and have a different meetings with different institutions, and the experts explain what is the impact of our activity, like institutions of support of the ecosystems, in order to create jobs. Really, at the end, they provide tools and different mechanisms to improve our services for entrepreneurs.
Of course, it's always country-specific, so we have a toolbox of actors we work with. Media is also an important partner in this venture, because we know, for example, that in many countries it's not attractive to become an entrepreneur. So you also need to create positive role models and to promote and feature successful entrepreneurs. We know that within the SME space, so the small and medium enterprises, only a minority of companies have this ambition and capability to think big and actually to create these jobs. And so the program really targets this type of companies and provides also the necessary advice and services for this type of companies. So far, the program has trained, for example, more than 500 mentors, mainly local mentors, but they also would like to bring in more diaspora mentors. So, for example, from the Balkan region that have been successful entrepreneurs in Switzerland that would like to go back and bring back something to the local community. And all that has led to more than 600 new jobs. We plan to achieve more than 4,000 jobs by the end of the program. Of course, due to the systemic nature of the program, it should lead after to more jobs, but this is what we try to capture directly.
As you saw, this approach focuses on encouraging creation of startup and new businesses. The program is run by SECO, the State Secretariat for Economic Affairs, in conjunction with Swiss Contact. The program offers support such as counseling, networking, putting entrepreneurs in touch with potential investors, etc. To discuss this approach, we are going to have on stage three people you actually just saw in this video, who I'm going to ask to join us up here now. You saw, first of all, Javier Salinas, Director of Emprende UP, the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation of the Universidad de Pacífico, who I'll ask you to join us up here. And Javier, please forgive my atrocious Spanish pronunciation. Emprende UP is the accelerator which we are going to focus on. You're an entrepreneur yourself. You're an investor in Peru and beyond Peru. You're also an economist with extensive experience in banking. You have expertise in things like crowdfunding, business angels, micro venture capital, and other exotic financial tools. Charlotte Ducrot of Swiss Contact, your program manager for Peru of the Swiss Entrepreneurship Program. You also worked in Switzerland for the Forum of Young Global Leaders, as well as the World Economic Forum. And Liliana de Saar-Kirchnopf, you're head of the Private Sector Development Division in the Economic Development Cooperation Directorate at SECO. You're promoting better business environment and access to finance for enterprises, as well as strengthen skills. Amongst other things, you've been working for SECO since 1996. You have worked at the World Bank and were head of the Swiss Contribution Office in Budapest. Now, a timely reminder about our beloved system for asking questions, Slido. The more questions you ask, the more likes you attach to questions, the better the chances of that particular question being asked of our distinguished panel here. But let me start with you, Mr. Salinas, if I may. We've seen an entrepreneur in the video. Can you tell us a little more about the various stages of the process that that entrepreneur went through? What happens in practical terms? Who qualifies? What's the length of coaching, etc.?
Thank you for your question. Okay, with your permission, I explain a few words what means an entrepreneurial ecosystem. Okay, the idea of the ecosystem is we put in the center, in the middle of the entrepreneurs, of course, and around them exist government institutions, banks, financial institutions, cooperation, of course, and over all of this exists, of course, the regulation too. No? But the ecosystem, the definition is the entrepreneurs is in the middle, is the center of all of our work. About your question, well, we work with different stages of entrepreneurs and different moments of the evolution of entrepreneurs. And we provide services like from an idea up to go to the angel investors. No? All of the process is around 18 months, your question. No?
Now, already a question from the floor, which I'm going to relay to the rest of the panel. Emmanuel is asking, is suggesting, indeed research is suggesting, that not everybody is equipped to become an entrepreneur. Is it an exclusive system? Liliana.
May I take this question?
Of course.
It goes to the heart of our approach, why we chose this approach. We heard before a lot about skills training and vocational and educational training, but we also heard how much jobs are needed for people to actually earn their livelihood and get an income. Exactly. Research shows that only a minority of companies are those companies that can create these jobs. And so we looked at if the goal, and it is the goal in our strategy of SECO strategy and the dispatch, is to create more and better jobs, we should identify exactly these companies. And so that's why we chose this approach, which is in a way exclusive. It is about identifying these so-called gazelles, these companies that have exactly this capability to grow. But the result will be that they will create jobs, and this will create opportunities.
Gazelles or even unicorns, maybe.
Who knows?
All these rare animals, but that can create jobs or perhaps lots of jobs. Is that right? So let me ask you, Charlotte, how the Swiss entrepreneurship program fits in with this approach by SECO, how the connection works between you and SECO.
So Javier was mentioning that there's an ecosystem around the entrepreneur. There are different actors. There are government, there's incubators, which are usually organizations that support the entrepreneur from the idea to the prototype. There are accelerators that support the entrepreneur from when they get into the market to accelerate their sales. And then there are business angels as well that get into the picture. And so our program works at all these different levels and brings technical assistance through international experts to help them strengthening their services towards entrepreneurs. And we also get the media involved because, as Liliana was saying in the video, it's important to give visibility to local entrepreneurs. So in Peru, it's important that we showcase Peruvian success stories so that other entrepreneurs are inspired and really interested in starting a new business.
So this is a question that does come up regularly. France is asking, why only men in the film? Luckily, we're not only men around the panel here, so that's at least, we have equality up here. But what about the film? And are entrepreneurs, can they not be entrepreneurs with an E at the end, if that exists? Liliana, do you want to answer?
You can have either programs targeting just at female entrepreneurs, or you can have a program that mainstreams female entrepreneurs. So this approach we have chosen is the second one. We make sure that women have access to all the training and services, that they are also specifically targeted. And for example, well, you will talk more about Peru, but also, for example, in Vietnam, 40% of the jobs that have been created are women, jobs for women, and about a third is being targeted of female companies. So it's really mainstreamed into the design and implementation of the program.
Now, did you want to add something?
Just to add, actually, most of our activities as a program are for these organizations that I mentioned, incubators, accelerators, and business angel networks. But to address the specific topic of women, we actually have one event that is done twice during the program that is specifically for women entrepreneurs. We had actually one last week in Zurich where 4 women, 2 mentors and 1 investor from each of the 6 countries of the program came together in Zurich and exchanged experiences, learned from the Swiss entrepreneurship ecosystem. And this is really to go to the root and really help these women get involved and also be included in all our activities.
Thank you. Now we have a high-ranking, it's going up all the time, question by Sandra here, a very important question, which is, what's the survival rate of these startups? By definition, not 100%. So how do you calculate, which ones you gamble on in a way? And I'd like to add to that another question, which was also asked. What is the exact connection between vocational training, the theme of today's afternoon, and teaching or helping people to be entrepreneurs? 2 slightly separate questions, admittedly.
Well, maybe to start on the survival rate, we monitor all the startups that are supported by our partners. So as the indirect effect of the program was explained in the video, we support organizations like Emprende UP, and Emprende UP supports entrepreneurs. And as a program, our monitoring system helps look at each of the entrepreneurs and see how they evolve so we can calculate the survival rate. An interesting information from Peru is that Peru is actually a very entrepreneurial country. So it's on the top 10 in the world of new businesses created every year in comparison with the population. But it's also in the top 10 in abandoning businesses. So it's not only starting the business, but it's also growing it and making it, successful.
Now, there was that question's disappeared, but it seemed to me interesting. Well, I'll go to that question later. It's disappeared for the time being. But are there other, asks Marisa, are there other measures rather than the number of jobs created to measure the success of the scheme. Do you want to answer that, Javier?
Yes, of course. If we put in context that we receive the support from Swiss cooperation in different evolution of the startups and the entrepreneurships. And exactly that we are creating new jobs in different stages, no? Because we create jobs, for example, in the first steps in capacitation and education programs. After that, in incubation process, we need validation in the market, and we create jobs like mentors or like in coaching, for example, is another services that is in the moment in Peru is providing to the entrepreneurs. After that, in acceleration process, we create jobs too, because we need to validate the proposal, the business proposal in the market, and for that reason, in this stage, it's very important to validate with real market. Okay, our work is to support the entrepreneurs in obtain a new clients. At the end of the chain is the business angel network, and business angel network normally provide money to entrepreneur is validate the products or services in the market, and at the end, of course, create new jobs in management, for example, or services for provide services for the entrepreneur or new company, like an accountant, lawyers, all of this. No, that is a very multiply effect.
Now, I'm interested in just how it feels to be involved in this. In this buzz of startups and growth-oriented enterprises. How does, from your experience, the buzz in Lima compare to the buzz in London around innovation and fintech and all that?
Okay. We are talking about, when I explain about the entrepreneurial ecosystem, I say the entrepreneurs in the center, all institutions of support around that, but the different in different countries is the regulation ambience.
Right.
Okay. What is the difference? Exactly like that. So the regulation environmental is very, very important in order to develop. An example, for example, in London is of course is a world-class hub in fintech, for example. No? In Latin America, the regulation is very strict about this topic. No?
So that limits it, yes. Charlotte?
Maybe just to add, we also had an event in February that brought 4 incubators managers from all the 6 countries and exchanged their experience again, and with the Swiss ecosystem as well. And it was interesting to hear from the Swiss peers that they were saying, we have the same challenges. Of course, the ecosystem here is a lot more developed, but at the beginning, there are the same challenges. It's just the advancement of the institutions are maybe not as advanced.
That's very interesting on the importance of the ecosystem, because the inventiveness, the ideas are the same everywhere around the world, but crucially, the ecosystem makes a difference, and that's what this program is about. Is that correct?
That's correct, and I was just looking at the...
Are you looking at Giuseppe's question?
Yeah.
Yes, me too. Oh, it's disappeared again. No. How does it apply to other countries? I was about to... Is that the question you want to address?
No, actually, the first question that is on the screen goes also back to why is it justified to use public money to to put into this approach. Actually, we do the same in Switzerland. And why do we do it? There is the CATE, the Commission for Technology and Innovation. It's because there is a public benefit of using seed funding from the public when the market is not yet investing into business because it's too risky, it's not known, and there the public can actually play a role. And that's how we do it. But I think the value added is really this ecosystem approach, because the actors, and we only work with institutions that are already there local. We're not creating something new, we're not bringing in institutions from abroad, we really strengthen the local actors. But what the program does is connecting the dots and making them talk together, coordinate, and working together. And Switzerland can do that as an honest broker. Sometimes if the government would come in some countries, it would not be seen as a credible partner vis-à-vis the private sector.
Right, well, I do like Giuseppe's question. How will it export to other countries, either in the region, which you know about, Javier, or in other countries, Liliana, such as Vietnam? How does the model, how does what you learn in Peru, how can it be applied to other countries or perhaps radiate beyond Peru? Javier, do you want to start on this?
Yeah, okay. Yes, I think that this model of support from the cooperation in Peru is a complement in our case, as exists in the last 4 years, exists a support from the Peruvian government. The Peruvian government at the moment is not intervention in the ecosystems, but provide money for in order to provide seed capital. Okay, it's the first stage when the private investor is not attractive for the private investor. For that reason, the government provide money for push to the market the big ideas or the good ideas. No? After that, the Swiss Cooperation complement this government effort in order to provide, like I say in a video, bring experts, bring best practices for our ecosystems, or organize events, support events, and this kind of support is for all of ecosystems, not only for one institution. That is a very, very interesting model. No?
Maybe just to add on, all these ecosystems that are being started in the world, they're all very similar and they all need all these actors. So it's a question of learning, seeing what's going on in the other countries and seeing what can be replicated, what can be learned from other countries and applied to any of the countries that we could work in. So it's, at the end of the day, it's really adapting and finding the right model for each country.
Right, we're going to have to take, I'm afraid, to borrow a phrase from the minister, we have to keep this train running on time. We have to keep up with our percentages here, and we are running slightly late, so I'm very sorry to have to cut this short a little bit. Let's take one final question. Why don't you pick a question from the screen? This is a bit like a TV game. Pick your favorite question.
Shall I take the first?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So the question, you can read it right, is how can, I will answer for SECO, foster entrepreneurship among the poorest segments of a society. We have other programs that do exactly that. We work, for example, with the ILO, the International Labour Organization in Indonesia, where we work with microfinancial institutions, and through them, non-financial services are provided to the micro-entrepreneurs. So the financial institutions give them advice on how they can strengthen their business, make it more productive, and improve the working conditions. But it's another approach, it's another target audience, and it needs another set of instruments. So I think it always comes back, what is the goal that we want to achieve? Here we want to achieve jobs, more and better jobs, and so we have focused on growth-oriented companies.
Thank you. Do you want to pick a question, Charlotte?
Sure. The one from Claude, will successful entrepreneurs help in turn new entrepreneurs? Actually, that's a very good point. One of the intervention of the program is also to develop mentoring. And mentoring, by mentoring we mean executives or experienced entrepreneurs helping voluntary new entrepreneurs. And this is really what we're trying to foster is this culture of giving back, of as an entrepreneur I receive support, and once I have more experience I can start helping other entrepreneurs and mentor them. So absolutely.
Javier, you have the final question.
The question from Angelica, no? What is the connection between entrepreneurship and vocational education? When I think when the person decides to entrepreneur, is respond a vocational education at the same time, because the person has the opportunity to choose what to like to do. No? For that reason, I think the vocational education is, please, you choose what like to do and do. No? That is the idea. Okay? And another question is, a little one is, yes, we, in our case in Peru, we attend, of course, agricultural, industrial startups, yes. We have two cases in Peru. from chocolate, for example, and it's a woman entrepreneurs at the same time. No? In
You're
Peru,
going to start competing with Switzerland on chocolate.
yeah, yes, I see it's a bad audience, but this is real. Okay, but we provide support for these entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs. One of them in Kuma, staying last week here and present the entrepreneur. But the idea is this person organized all of the production from cacao, from the jungle of Peru, to the European market and return the fair prices to the producers. No? That is the idea in resume.
Thank you very much indeed to the three of you, and my apologies for cutting this discussion slightly short, but it's in the interest of timing. So please, again, all our thanks to the three of you. Charlotte Ducrot, Liliana Dessart, and Javier Salinas, thank you very much indeed.